All right. Hey everyone, welcome to the sprint summary for SSW TimePro, sprint 354. And for this sprint, we had two sprint goals. So we done one of them. The other one we didn't get to deliver because we were blocked by the zero dev account issue, and that takes us more time to investigate. So the scope increased compared to where we estimate the effort. And then the other one, I sent out a down video to all the stakeholders. If you haven't take a look, you could ask me for another demo during the backlog session. So this sprint was a 1 week sprint, and Jim, Sam, Jeffrey, and I were working on the sprint. And we start our estimated capacity of 43, but then we actually didn't get the 2 days from Jim, so that reduced our actual capacity to 37. And this is the actual timesheet data for the sprint. And Sam and I were the major person working on this sprint. We worked full time, and then a bit of Jeffrey and a bit of Jim. So going down to the sprint backlog, the two major deliverables that we have. First is the rate mismatch detection dialog. I don't know if you have looked at the dialog or the down video before. You want me to show you again, or you good? You want to see
No,
the UI?
I haven't seen it yet. Just show me the UI, please.
Okay, sure. I will be using the staging environment so that we are not exposing the real client data. So, I will start with invoice, maybe this one. Go to Northwind. So assume that I have a different rate. Like I say, I have a different rate at my default rate, like 285 and 270 to start with. Mm-hmm. And then when I enter a timesheet, so say for Northwind, I have this is my default rate. I could have billable. That's what I start with. So I would say this was originally, 285. And then I could add a few of them. So that's like mimicking like I'm a developer on the client and I'm using my default rate. So like 285. And I mean, I have no idea if my rate has changed or not when I enter my timesheet. So did 3 of them. And then as an account manager, if you want to issue a new invoice to the client and also Northwind, so the currency will be AUD and save. So you could allocate my timesheet, the ones that I just added, like 3 of them. Oops, I think I clicked someone else, but that's fine. And go back. And if I do save, you could see that my rate is at like 285, and this is a time material based invoice. But then, you know, like as account manager, you could negotiate a different rate with your client. You probably like talk to Northwind and be like, Sylvia's rate will be reduced. She will now be at 250 and 200 if you do prepaid. I don't know. That could be. And then you come back to the invoice. Now you realize that my rate is still at 285. And normally you have to go back to my timesheet and overwrite my rate for that client, right? Yep. But now we have a warning on the top telling you that you have 3 rate issues to review because 3 timesheets don't match their client rate for their date. For my effective date, you don't have the right rate. So now you can do review rates. And this is the new dialog that you get. You will see which are the timesheets that has a different rate and what the employee name is, like for me, Sylvia. And then what's the rate type we are using is regular. And then you could see that I was invoiced at 285, but now the actual rate, the client rate you put is 250. And you can select any of those if you think they should be updated. And then as soon as you click confirm update, you can see that my rate changed here, as well as the invoice here.
Yeah, no worries. That's perfect. Because you know how there's a way we need to do that all the time. So I had to do an invoice today for a spec review. So a spec review is somewhere where I'll discount the rate. So, for instance, what I'd do is I'd say, okay, it's 2 developers for 2 days. That's a spec review, and it's usually sort of $10,400. Now, I'm able to give that client a discount. So let's say I say give them a 50% discount for easy math. Then what I'll do is I'll come in and I'll change each timesheet individually. So now I only just change in one place now. Is that right?
Oh,
or do I have
like
to?
if
Or
it's
do I
a
have
if
to?
it's a if it's a one-off occurrence, then you still have to go to the timesheet and do
Okay.
like the rate override. It's just in case that you are going to batch update like
Yeah.
the client rate. Like say the
Right.
developer
Right. Right.
enter a
Right.
different rate than what you agree with the client.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Sorry,
So
there are distractions around me, so I'm. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
of
All right.
course.
So it's only when you change the default rate in the system that you get this dialogue. Right. Okay.
Yes.
That makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that. And then the other major deliverables that we have this sprint is a 16 effort point story is we have provisioned our Azure infrastructure for the on-billing Epic. And this is done by Sam. If you're interested, Sam could talk more about this.
Dan?
Yeah,
Just give us
I can speak briefly to it. So I'll just share my screen very quickly. And yeah, here we're looking at the resources that were created in Azure, so very standard stuff, just the functions and all of the things that were spec'd out and looked at and agreed to by the team. But the way we did it is just a little bit interesting. So this is TimePro's first foray into using Bicep and infrastructure as code. So using a code file here and then a deployment process, every time you push to main, that's how the infrastructure is created, edited, deleted, and it means that we're not going through and clicking in the UI all the time. And we can track the changes made to the infrastructure. So it's a nice development and something we hope to continue to use. And we might even draw into the main project. So yeah, I'll pass back to you, Sylvia.
Yep. I'll reshare my screen.
I'll rejoin in a minute.
Okay, so let's continue. Yeah, so continue to the timesheet usage for suggested timesheet and automatic timesheet usage. These ones, like last time, the numbers kind of plateaued, doesn't change much. People are using like in their stable habit. One person that I talked to this sprint mentioned like the reason she didn't use the suggested timesheet usage is because she's switching different project throughout the day. So like a suggested timesheet usage is not flexible enough. So that could be a future improvement that we can make to the suggested timesheet usage, to the suggested timesheet, sorry. Yeah, so that's that. The burn down chart, we could look at it. It has a very smooth slope. We did 2 production deployment this sprint, and then we also closed off a major PBI at the end of the sprint. So we could see that, well, as expected, and we didn't bring in like new unexpected PBIs throughout the sprint, which is a good sign. And then going down to the code coverage, these numbers hasn't changed from last sprint, so I will just skim through, as well as the pipeline health, the application health. This time we have consistently observed that the massive dependency failure has been stable for the past few sprints. It has been stable at this 3K number, and previously it was around 4K or 5K. So one of the fix that we put in, the Google Analytics fix, was working. And then there's still one remaining to do, so that's in our backlog. Going down to the Epic. So this sprint, we actually did a major progress on the cross-billing Epic that include the infrastructure as well as the required property that we have added to the TimePro backend. So you can see that the progress number has increased from 36% to 44%. So we are pushing on this Epic. And going down to the AI part, I will hand over to Jim.
Yeah, no problem. So for the AI tool use, you can see the whole team is using AI in a high level. Basically, it's high above 75%. And the tools used involves Copilot, Cursor, Cloud Code, and Codex, as well as some web version. And you can see Claude is easily getting a hitting limit because it burns the tokens faster. Yeah, that's the AI use. Very competitive shooting game. And let's jump to the Claude. That's why that is So the stats from Claude is pretty much correct. You can see from the meeting summary, we have one sprint goal achieved. The cross-billing epic, which we're focusing on right now, jumps from 36 to 44%. And also Claude recognized several issues in the Trends tab. If you can go to the Trends tab, Sylvia. So you can scroll down a little bit. So Claude recognized the recurring issues around zero dev account being blocked for at least 2 sprints as of now. Yeah, which is an execution risk. And also my capacity is frequently interrupted by client work. And this is a risk for the team as well. Chances and then they get locked down. Yeah. Doesn't matter. That's pretty much the stats. Okay, so for the speaking summary, Sylvia, the Scrum Master, is
just one sec before we jump into the speaking. So would you say that the Claude overview is accurate for our sprint summary?
Yeah, it's the way I look at it, it's pretty much yeah, it's overall correct and accurate. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll put a green tick here. All right. Because I think
so going to the speaking summary, Sylvia takes the most of the speaking time, and me and Sam spoke a little, because I just went back to the team and Sam has a little to demo. And going next, what was the main issue completed? Copilot says it's rate mismatch detection dialog delivered. Right. And I reckon that is correct.
Okay, so we'll put a green tick as well.
Okay, so the last part for me, the Yak Shaver usage, we have 29 new PBIs from last month, and 24 of them are Yak shaved, which is at the 82% ratio, and we tackled 8 of them in the last month.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks, Jim. And then the retro part. Right. Sam, do you want to talk us through the retro?
Sure thing. So, starting with what went well, the review and forecast feels smooth, less than an hour. Yep, was very smooth. Major bug fix and UI improvement related to rate issue delivered, and that piece of work looks great. And that was demonstrated earlier. Great progress on the on-billing epic. Yeah, it was a nice chunk of work done. The DevOps stuff we did lays a really nice foundation because I was like an unknown for the team, so that was great. And then leading on from that, team upskilling in bicep and infrastructure as code, which I touched on. And I've done a little bit of that work in a previous life, and then working through it with Sylvia, she was able to pick it up quite easily. So yeah, it's going to be a tool that our team can use going forward. Okay, what didn't go so well? I didn't have capacity as planned due to extra client work. Yep, so that's a common theme, but it's worth mentioning that that's a thing, an obstacle that affects the team. And yeah, zero dev account issue was identified a long time ago and not resolved. So yeah, that's a real bugger when something it's hampered the team for a few weeks now. But it's good to call it out instead of just let that go. And then what improvements will be made? Unblock the zero dev setup issue and update the wiki.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. Apologies. Let's quickly get through it because there's a bunch of people around. I'm okay at the moment, but we'll see how we go. So I'll give you chance.
Apologies for what we would have
NDC.
edited that all out. Oh, hey.
All right.
Well, let's go.
So yeah,
Cool.
you're back right on time. We are going to do the forecast. So
right.
going to the forecast email. All right. Sam, you could continue.
Cool. So we're looking at the forecast. So the sprint review is 355. The sprint goals here are the TimePro Zero Sync post pre-point invoices to revenue, and the unbilling webhook add generic backend logic. Cool. Going ahead, and those are the pieces of work. At the top there is the two goals.
I have a question.
Just stop for a sec, Sam. Just stop.
So Sylvia, do you know we have public holiday next Friday?
Yes. We've already
So have
counted
you-
that.
Right. Okay. Cool. Keep going.
So we didn't finish off the subject on the Azure functions. So is that all going 100% now?
Yes, we have the infrastructure set up. So
Yep.
yeah, Sam, you could explain.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
No,
So the bit of work.
don't.
Yep. All good.
We'll explain. I'll talk to you next week on that one, and I'll get some more explanation because we've got to keep it reasonably short. So cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So Michael, are you happy with the sprint goals for next sprint?
So review what Word docs is? Is this just for the instructions? For the admin?
This one. This is the
Yeah.
long going one that Jeffrey is trying to get Adam to do a task pass, but Adam doesn't want to be the blocker. Yeah, that one. The one.
Right, okay. And the skeleton loading, what's that?
So this is it's from Adam's email. Like he just saw that when we are loading the timesheet page, you kind of have two little loading symbol, and then in the middle there's a recent blog post like title out of nowhere because the content hasn't been loaded yet. So he wants that to be fixed.
Is that a big issue? 2 days?
2 days. Yeah, it's an UI related issue. We have put in as much on billing work as we could because this is blocked by the webhook implementation. So that's why we have filled the rest of the sprint with either UI fixes or bug fixes.
Okay. All right, cool. Let's happy. Let's go.
Okay. And the next thing is just the main action point that Copilot summarize is to tackle the TimePro Zero Sync bug and also unblock the zero dev account, which I think is accurate as well. All right. Yep. So are you happy with the review and the forecast? Any question? Anyone?
No. I'll ask questions offline once don't have so many distractions.
Okay. So with that being said, this meeting will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. If you want to check the meeting content again, you can go there. And that's it. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a nice weekend.
See you, boys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.